joking around because he's one of my fellow.
Right.
Okay, I actually feel I'm part of the minimum wage problem by what I get paid, because I would like to be in the union he's in, but apparently the Board of Regents decided that we didn't belong in the bargaining unit. They did, we're not allowed to be that.
You're an adjunct?
Yeah, I'm an adjunct, so we're not,
We're not part of
when
the
they
bargaining
negotiated,
Professors, yeah,
yeah, when they negotiated, I said, "So Steve, why didn't you guys,
help us out, right?
help us out?" And they goes, "Well, the region said we weren't allowed to be part of it." So I'm kind of wondering why, since I'm allowed to teach there,
Right.
and I've been doing it for about 10, 12 years now.
Uh-huh.
This is just a side job. It was at one time, now it's my full-time job.
What do you teach?
I teach baking classes,
Okay.
beginning baking and breads, and minimum wage affects us because my students who are not waiting for their parents, how do they afford with less minimum wage? How do kids afford to go to school and improve their lives?
Right.
School's not cheap, and right there alone, that to me affects my students.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah. So anyhow, I'm 64, I'm almost at retirement, but we need this.
Yes, absolutely.
My name is Teresa Margraves. I work at Child Haven. I'm a part-time worker. The most we can work is 20 hours a week. I've been there almost 5.5 years. Never gotten a raise. Work as hard as any.
Are you an hourly, you're an hourly employee?
Part-time, hourly.
Mhm.
And it's a struggle from payday to payday.
Right.
I love my job, but it is a struggle to make ends meet.
Are you making minimum wage or
A
above?
little over,
A little over it?
over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Michael Fikes. I've been in the service industry for over a decade. You think that would be enough to get out? But a bit addicted to the service aspects of it and being at the need of people. And there are a lot of times of the year that people think that you make a certain amount, but you're depending on someone else that may not have the same beliefs as you with dining out, as far as tipping goes. So you're expecting someone to do something and they're not.
Mhm.
And you love your industry. I love my job. I love the service industry.
Right.
And still get tip.
10
That's about 12 years. I've been in the service industry.
and no raise in 10 years?
No.
No.
In Nevada, which I just moved to Nevada 2 years ago, we aren't a part of any union either. So they could terminate us at any moment.
Right.
So it's like, okay, so when do we get a raise? Because December's here, November's here in Nevada, no one's gonna go out.
Have you been at the same, business or same is it a restaurant you're working at or?
Now I am working on the strip, I'd rather not say where.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
But there is more of cocktail,
Mhm.
so it's not really lucrative, especially, if there's no events going on or corporate events, you're sort of kind of dependent on that minimum wage to pay for your lifestyle.
Right.
And it's not,
Mhm.
it's not so. I wanted to be a part of the conversation and be a part of the discussion.
Thanks.
Señora, yo puedo traducir por usted.
Okay.
¿Cómo se llama?
Mi nombre es María Ayala.
My name is Maria Ayala.
Vengo de arriba.
She comes from the Arriba organization. ¿Trabaja o es
Estuve trabajando en un de limpieza. Soy ama de casa, pero trabajo en mucho trabajo.
She was working as a housekeeper.
Mi comentario es el sueldo que gana una persona que tiene familia cuando se queda uno solo es bajo.
So the salary that a single person is that someone is working for as a single person and is too low for family to be able to sustain a family.
Entonces el sueldo para una persona sola cuando tiene uno hijos necesita uno pues el sueldo un poquito arriba porque con ese sueldo no alcanzamos a sacar todos los compromisos que tenemos.
So when the wage is so low and you have a family, you have kids, it's hard to support a family on such a low wage or such a laborious job.
Entonces yo estoy aquí precisamente para eso, a ver si en algún futuro se podría eso incrementar un poco porque yo como madre de familia necesitamos pues sacar a los hijos adelante y si uno tiene dos trabajos nunca vamos a estar presente en el convivir de los hijos.
So I'm here hoping that we can raise the minimum wage, so that my future with the kids looks a lot better and so that I can support them better in the long run.
Entonces eso es mi comentario que yo quería hacer aquí.
That's my commentary that I wanted to give you, Congresswoman.
Can you add, do you work for, do you work for an agency or do you work on your own?
¿Trabaja todavía de amas de llaves?
No, acabo de dejar el trabajo porque el sueldo que me pagaban era a 8, sin derecho como a 15 minutos ni de descanso y eran muy pocas horas, entonces con ese sueldo a mí no me iba a alcanzar para nada, entonces yo por eso dejé ese trabajo y ahorita ando en proceso de buscar otro.
So she was working as a housekeeper, but she left that job because they were only paying her $8 an hour and she couldn't sustain, so she's in the process of looking for another job that pays more. ¿Pero trabajaba por agencia o?
No era agencia, era un trabajo que yo.
Okay, so it wasn't with an agency, it was her own clients that she found.
Okay.
She was doing for.
Hello.
Hello.
Everyone. My name is Wanda Flores, and I work for County Park Police
Okay,
as a record technician, a part-timer, and we are only allowed to do only 38 hours in a 2-week period. We also have to work holidays, and not the major ones, like Christmas and only Christmas and believe Thanksgiving. It's fine, but we still don't get paid for it. We could stay home, but we don't get paid for it
right.
because we are part-timers. And then, well, what I
So
get
you don't get time and a half if you work a holiday? It's all,
No,
Wow.
it's all the same. And this, well, you have to get you half an hour, of course, if you work. I only work on Fridays, a full day. Usually it's, I do get Mondays off, so I'm in heaven because I'm staying home Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, but
right.
but still, I have to work 4 hours, and it's a lot of work. I love it though. I like it.
Right,
I
right.
actually like to deal with paperwork and all the craziness of the officers. You know, it's kind of nice, but it's too little to pay.
Yeah.
For what I do, I really believe they have to pay us more.
Yeah.
And the cost of living is high.
Exactly. Yeah, everything is going high, and then we don't get a
Housing
raise.
is
Yeah,
going
every year our apartment, oh, by the way, we're gonna increase, well, I have not gotten an increase, so
That's
how
right.
you gonna get your increase? You know, so
Yeah.
it only makes sense.
That is the issue. I just actually have with my landlord because of the same thing. He wants to raise the rent. I said, how do you want to raise my rent? I'm still getting paid the same thing.
Yeah.
And so that's affecting me because if I don't pay what they asking, so I have to move. How am I gonna move if I don't get enough to move? You know, it's too many
Right,
issues.
it's too much.
Mhm.
On scheduling, do you have a fixed schedule every week or does it change week to week?
It's supposed to be the same.
Uh-huh.
It changed only if, because the other girl that works also
If she
part-time,
has to take
if she
time.
has to take time off, yeah, it change, but usually it's the same. But even if I'm in break, when I have a little time off, I've gotta run to the back and I don't know, put some water in my face so I keep work, I don't fall asleep sometimes. Because when you have a lot of work and you have so many paperwork to do, you come to a moment that you are like, your head goes down and so many things to do, but, you know, I just said, well, okay, whatever. And anyways, it's too many things. I just wish, I'm really hoping that you really take the, you know, I'm sure actually that you're gonna do something for us.
Yeah,
I believe in you because I work for you.
all right, thank you. How about you?
My name is LaShonda Lamar, and, I currently just became employed with, a place, I care not to say where,
Yeah,
but
that's fine.
it's no longer minimum wage, but, up until then, I was working minimum wage, and it caused me not to be able to afford the increase on my rent. I lived in my car for 2 months, and it's like kind of collectively funny because I've been in the service industry, like from serving food and drinks to caring for elderly. And the thing that I find the most alarming, I first started with, I guess you can call it healthcare, home healthcare aides, when I was 13 years old as a summer job. And I liked it, and so they let us keep coming back every year, and so I continued to do that. But I got paid $8 then, and now I worked for a place in Nevada that only pays $10, and that was when I was 13 years old, and I'm 37 years old, so, I
So,
mean,
same amount.
the money isn't changing, but the bills are going up, the prices of everything is going up, and everybody is in a demand for you to give more when you don't have any more to give. I owe student loans out the wazoo, can't even find a job in the industry that I'm,
What'd you take the loans out for?
interdisciplinary studies, but that, I mean, I could work anywhere with that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to find a job.
That's right, she can work, she can get that, seriously, she's right.
You know, Susie,
It's fine, yeah.
what she just said, that got me, I came here in 76.
Uh-huh.
I've been a proud member of the culinary union for 30 years. I left Detroit and I was making $3.50 an hour to come out here and be a baker.
Mhm.
In 76, I was making, when I came out here, I started at $7.50 an hour.
Wow.
And they're making $8 now. That's like, that's,
Oh, wow.
Wow.
you know, we had healthcare. You know, my wife and I, she was a waitress, I was a baker. I could afford a home. I didn't have to worry about my kids. They needed to go to the doctors. We went to the doctors because we had all that through the culinary. How does somebody with minimum wage take their kids and actually be able to pay that bill?
Or to
So-
afford healthcare.
Yeah, period. I mean, you know, it's like healthcare in this country, you know. My president tried to do his best he could before he left, which is about the first time I've seen anybody try.
Right,
But that impacts me because every time the hospital fees goes up because the people that didn't pay it and the people that didn't pay because they couldn't afford to pay, not because they were dishonest people.
Right.
You know, how do you pay a healthcare bill
right,
when, you know, you're making that kind of money?
that's true.
¿Usted quiere hablar, señor?
Sí, mi nombre es José Manuel.
My name is Jose Manuel.
Mi trabajo es jardinería, landscaping y jornalero.
I work as a gardener and landscaping. ¿Para qué más?
Soy de Centro Arriba.
He doesn't,
Soy en Centro Arriba.
uh-huh.
Los trabajos nomás nos pagan $8.25, el mínimo.
They only pay us $8.25.
Trabajamos nuestras horas de jornada, pero en años no ha habido incremento de salario.
In years, there hasn't been an increment in the wage.
Todas las compañías pagan $8.25.
All the companies pay only $8.25. ¿Y cuántas horas trabajan? ¿Qué es lo que hacen?
Jardinería, landscaping.
I asked them how many hours they work and ¿cuántas horas?
8-10 horas.
8 to 10 hours.
Y pues las rentas de nosotros, los biles suben, pero el pago sigue igual.
The bills raise, but the pay is still the same.
Right, that is the common thing for sure, I know.
Excuse me, I wanted to add that I actually applied for healthcare, and they said that I make too much.
Or you're overqualified.
Yes,
If I was overqualified, I would apply.
exactly.
Right,
How am I supposed to pay go to a doctor, go to a dentist? They don't have any benefits there either.
Sí, venimos aquí para si nos puede dar más detalle, porque nosotros hay veces que trabajamos, en veces no trabajamos, pero pues nuestro pago es igual, 8 solamente, 8.25, 8.25, no more, pay more money.
And another reality of working as a day laborer is that, not knowing that if there will be
You're
work.
gonna get work,
And
yeah.
so, but the cost of living doesn't change.
Mhm. We got someone else in here. Hi, sorry, we need a bigger room.
Yeah, we're gonna plan for something bigger.
That's right.
Yes, the first thing, we are all the team from Arriba, Las Vegas,
Uh-huh.
a no-profit association.
Uh-huh,
Looking for the benefits for the community. That's why the reason we're here.
Okay.
We are not working today,
all
for
right.
this day. And I wanna thank you for thinking about the minimum wage,
Mhm.
because it's a reasonable problem that we have in the community, all the Las Vegas city. That was a good thought from your side,
Mhm.
thinking about others. And we can resolve something, because you see the problems every day, mostly of the family problems is money wise.
Mhm.
You see that families get stressed because they can afford their staff to make a living, just like
Right.
a few staff that to be comfortable at home,
Right.
you know. And for 825, it's somebody, if you calculate 40 hours a week, 825 minus federal minus this minus that, you got a very short check.
Right.
Yes, and yeah, what is the solution for that?
Right.
If we face a problem like this, how we gonna react to that? We had to feed the children, the family, pay the bills, pay this, pay that. So the solution for some families is get 2 jobs. That means that have no family
Time at
time.
home, yeah.
Get stressed, get frustrated, thinking that what we make for a living is not enough to make our families happy. That's
Right.
my point. As a father, this is my
How
my
many kids do you have?
I have 2.
Two
An
kids.
8-year daughter, she's in school, and a 4 months daughter. Yes, and yeah, sometimes I work at nighttime, at daytime. You know, I gotta pay the bills.
Right, yeah.
And yes, if we make the minimum wage raise, I don't know, $2-3, I hope 15.
Yeah.
That's the deadline. Yeah, how the corporation can react to this?
Right,
Because the companies, they hire people, they have the power to hire and fire people.
right,
The apartment complex, the company, the corporation that manage the properties, they
right,
have the power to kick you out of the apartment if you don't pay it.
right.
And they have the power to increase the rent, the rental prices.
Mhm.
So I call I'm renting an apartment, and I called the manager today, asking if I getting prepared to bring something to you, how they increase, because the renewal of the contracts, so the rental contracts, they come with an increase on the rental. And I asked her, how much did they increase this year? And she said from $60 to $70.
Wow.
And I asked her, oh, hold up, all the corporation, they talk about how we increase like city-wise, how they are all together discuss that to increase the rent, or
Right.
it's just the company that manage this property? And they say, oh, the company that just manage this property, they decide to increase $60-70.
That's 12 hours a week more, at least.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly, yeah, and it's just the rent,
Right.
bills, the personal stuff, the market, everything is increasing.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe we can I think one of the solutions is getting the population prepared for this kind of problems
Yeah.
that we are facing right now. Maybe we can increase, if we increase the minimum wage,
Mhm.
yeah, I think that with that, we can make a package of how to prepare the people. Like, given a chances to learn a skill. Because if you increase the minimum wage, that's gonna affect the other people that work for companies. That means that they're gonna short their hours, some of them they can get fired, they can don't get the full benefits, they can get overtime or just part-time. So that can affect another the companies around.
Yeah.
Right? And give places to the city, to the people. Get chances to learn a skill and be professional. That way, it can be irreplaceable from companies. Yeah, open places that people can learn how to
Skills.
manage their money, how to control, how they spend their money, be smart, be wise on the decisions that they're making with money and for the future in the families.
That's great, yep.
Congresswoman, we have a number of other people who have arrived here,
Okay.
and I'm not sure how you wanna do this. I know we're probably going around the room, right?
Well, yeah, how do you,
You know, maybe some people who have talked already, maybe can tag team out. I know we have another person with a wheelchair, who I'd like to bring in.
Well, I thought we were doing introductions first and then some people talk, but if we wanna move out and make room, I'll be happy to talk.
well, yeah, I mean, I guess maybe what we should sort of, let me talk to the people who have spoken and then we'll move
Okay.
another group in, is that
I think that's fine.
probably? So listen, I mean, this is an issue that not only are we taking up in Congress, but you're gonna see some bills in Nevada as well. And, you know, the fact that families can no longer make ends meet, we're having a housing crisis. I want you all to know I'm on the, Education and Labor Committee, in Congress. I'm also, on the subcommittee for workforce development. And certainly when you increase in minimum wage, there is gonna be a move by employers to move, you know, to take jobs and use iPads and, you know, basically use technology to replace jobs. And so we are gonna be pressed as a community to take on new jobs of the future. And so that's certainly gonna be, and then we get into the man from CSN, student debt. And so, you know, basically the dignity, and the one thing is work is dignity. As you said, you enjoy working, you like to go to work. I mean, the work you do is God's work, taking care of young people. And we need to reflect the dignity that you bring to the workplace and how we reward you in pay. And so, definitely an issue that we will be taking up in this Congress for sure, and I know we'll be taking it up the state legislature as well.
You know, they asked me to be honest in here, and I'm probably of a very different viewpoint than a lot of the people in this room. And here's the problem I've always had. And first of all, minimum wage, there's a lot of issues, sociological issues that are being brought up that really are not the labor. Manual labor will be replaced by machines. And what are those people gonna do, right? And the problem is when you say minimum wage, minimum is minimum. That means everybody gets it.
Right.
And I'm sorry to say that not everybody is entitled to $15 an hour. When you guys start talking minimum, right, you're trying to settle the ills of the single parent family with children. Okay, that is a societal problem you're trying to fix with money. That's great, but a 16-year-old kid in high school doesn't necessarily need nor deserve $15 an hour. And when you give that person 15, what about me? I look at that kid making 15. So a lot of these people aren't making minimum wage. They're making over minimum wage. So now you raise them, okay, so now they're gonna make minimum wage because now minimum wage has exceeded their given wage, right? So yeah, they could be making much better than they are. But look at people, the unions in the culinary, some of the culinary down at T-Mobile, they're making $17 an hour. That's well above the minimum wage. And then you look at some other people that are working in the same industry, you know, they're making $12 an hour. And then you look, what does that mean for me as a professor that had to go get a degree and what I do? And I'm in charge of training these people to go out and get the $15 an hour jobs. And I haven't even gotten a raise, right? So it's, I know politicians want to fix things and they go to a certain demographic and, you know, because it's a hot button and it's good, but there's a lot of unintended consequences that come out of the action out of Washington, as we have well learned. And I just wanted to take what little time I had in front of you to say, when you're talking minimum wage, be careful of the word minimum wage, right? Because they like to use living wage. See, living wage is much different than minimum wage, and I think that's good. You know, that's, you know, and when the Republicans, when you talk about raising minimum wage, that means everybody in the United States is gonna get a lift. And they're gonna say, wait a minute, then what about the business owner that can't afford, you know what I mean? So now he cuts employees, he cuts hours, they're gonna figure a way to work around your minimum wage, you can guarantee that. Right? That, the gentleman who was here that's a server, right? What's the deal with servers? Servers can walk out of a restaurant in Vegas $200 a night, $300 a night. That is in no way minimum wage. The problem is that they have to claim the wage, right? They have to deduct the taxes from the supposed tips, right? And those are set at you know, in theory, you're supposed to get 15% gratuity. So they figure if you're at a high-end restaurant and your tips should have equaled $300 a night, and then they take out the taxes on $300, but like he was trying to allude to, a lot of patrons don't tip at 15%. So now, basically, they walk out with a check. When they get paid, they subtract all that money and they're left with, I've heard, $2 an hour. I couldn't believe that. How can you work for $2 an hour? Technically, they're not working for $2 an hour, but the public is subsidizing their income pieces, gratuities. Anyway, I've said a lot.
Well,
But I just wanted to have my
I mean,
opinion on
you
behalf
know,
of
I
you.
certainly think that there are repercussions, obviously. I am gonna participate on a workforce called the Future of Work to really delve into the change. We're gonna see a change in workforce and workforce needs. The bottom line is, people's wages have stagnated, prices have gone up, we have a housing crisis in this valley. And so we have to get to the point where people are making a wage that is livable and above the $7.25 or $8.25 an hour that we have right now. And, you know, we're seeing an incredible inequality of wealth in this country.
Oh, yeah.
And I always maintain that if you believe in trickle down economics, you gotta believe in trickle up economics as well. And so, anyway, these are all important issues and certainly issues that we will be debating. And I hope to, you know, have more insight into this as I participate in these important workforce development issues.
If I could just take 2 more seconds, but a lot of the, you know, like the gentleman here, it's the landscaping, right? Landscaping is a huge industry here, and there are certain segments of the population that are taken advantage of. And I'll be honest with you, when you know, as a teacher, we never thought about unionizing. We didn't need to unionize. We got our guaranteed raises because it was built into the system. Then they took all that away. So we figured, you know, finally we got fed up and we said the only way we're gonna get anything is we gotta organize, right? So that's what, you know, the unions have been beat down for many decades, but the unions built the middle class.
That's right.
People don't understand that. That's why you have a middle class, because people got paid very good wages to do jobs that necessarily didn't justify them. I'm sorry if that sounds wrong, but you know what I mean? If you were an auto worker, you made a lot of money to turn a screw. You know, it didn't take a high skilled job, I guess is what I'm looking. But this is what the unions did for our country, and maybe some of the things that need to be done is more union strength, you know? More unions, more organizing, because then they have the power, they really have the power. The strength in numbers, right?
That's right, organizing is important. So let's see, we have a couple, you're new and you just walked in, yeah. And can you give me your?
Hi, everybody. My name is Kismet Evans, and I am a home health worker, but I'm here on a few different, I came from California because my father ended up having dementia. He's been out here for like 60 years. He's not trying to leave. As a business owner as well of a very prestigious nonprofit for veterans, and I also work with the prison population, homeless, everybody, and in the prison system. And coming out here, thinking that my father just needed a little assistance, I anticipated that was way more than what he needed. So I've been in the healthcare field since I was 17, in and out of nursing. So I chose healthcare because it's something that's not gonna take my time as a business owner. And then I have patients as well. Some of them are hospice. Some of them have all kinds of handy capabilities. And so, but in this field, I see, I hear, and I've talked to many, many people from all kinds of walks and nationalities. And the minimum wage that's here, or the wage that they're getting for the job that they're doing, it's ludicrous. I'm a baby boomer. So when in my day, community helped everybody. We didn't have the issues that we have today. So if someone didn't have something, it was helped out from somebody else within the community. But now things have evolved as life does, and I'm sure we get it. No one's not understanding that. But the thing about the healthcare industry, that is one of the highest rising industries, we're taking care of everybody's parents for one reason or another, whether they're in another country, whether they're unable to, whether they don't possess the skills or gifts and talents to care for what that individual is dealing with. The minimum wage is not about, I want more money so I can go get some new nails or car or finery. It's, if you give someone a portion, no matter what it is, and you ask them to take care of their kids, their house, their bill, their car, their maintenance, their CPR, their first aid, paying for their classes, and then school clothes, and then taking their kids to the doctor. They have to go to the doctor. They have to maintenance their car, because this job does not provide medical, health care, doesn't provide mileage. It doesn't give you anything. So you are paying a person a wage, and then making that person feel that if they don't do these things, they cannot have a job, because now you're taking money out of that household, whether it's a mother and a father, whether it's a mother and kids. You are constantly and emotionally making that person feel that this is all they can do. And then you put them in a position to where when they are in these jobs, that there's no increase for them emotionally or self-worth or value-wise, and that these is what they're stuck in. And this is not the American dream. This is not what they want. They want to be able to have a wage that or an increase in what they get, so they're not pulling everything they get from what they are paid to take care of someone else outside of their own house. They're sacrificing their own houses and families to take care of other people, maintaining their car because they can't afford to, pay tire, oil, and some of these people aren't in these positions, and so we're consequenting them for those things, and having to be able to do this job. And I'm just asking that as of now, I can imagine if I had to, take that income and spread it throughout my household and into another household just to get there, then you wonder why you have people doing some of the things that they're doing, because you're pushing them into trying to figure out how to make ends meet. I talked to some of my individuals who have capabilities that, can Miss Sharon come in here, please?
Miss Sharon,
They're fearful.
where is she?
Because
Oh, right here.
just like the gentleman was saying, not everybody should get $15 an hour, but everybody should be getting something to where it is able to compensate their home and their household and the things that they do. If we can all just like. She has had some struggles before. This is my, patient. She has, encephalitis, which means she needs somebody that doesn't care, that
Right,
about what they're doing because they're getting a wage that, oh, well, I'm not gonna do that because, I'm not getting enough to do that. Then
right,
she has to suffer for it.
yeah,
And those are one of the things that she's concerned with. And she lives in a very nice home in a very nice neighborhood. And she shared with me before how she's so much more calmer and stress less because she doesn't have to follow that individual around all day long for 3, 4, 5 hours worrying about what are they gonna steal from her house to
right,
make ends meet, or see something that they can take to the pawn shop and go sell because they're only getting $9 an hour.
right,
They're at risk too from the wages not being in an appropriate amount for a family member. And that's not everybody, because I can see the faces in here that you care about your patients. You treat them like you do your own familia. And that it's important for you to do what you do, and you like doing what you do, but you want what you do to match what you get. And that's all we're asking. That's all they want, to be able to be treated. None of us are living on a plantation. We're not in plantation days no more. The plantation is done. We're not working like
Right.
that no more. They just want to be able to receive what they deserve to have as an individual working in this healthcare field who is taking care of everybody's mama, daddy, sister, brother, uncle, and cousin.
right,
And they just want you as the constituent to hear and understand and take this and say to them, how can we as a human, as a society, expect what they do with some of the people that we care for to do it for $9 or
Right.
or minimum wage,
Yeah.
and then expect them to pay their gas. They have to do errands for these individuals on their gas, on their time, on their mileage, in their vehicle, and they get nothing, no compensation of any kind for it.
yeah,
And some of the people are very needy. Some of the people only need to go, what? But when you have a family and you're dealing with family needs and all the decisions that you have to try and make from that little bitty check that you get and still get to work and still try and be integral, that's not okay. That's unfair. That's unconstitutional. That's a draconian workforce, and that's not how we should be living. We're in the 21st century.
Yeah.
Everybody deserves to be able to pay their bills, have quality of life, and be able to thrive for their kids and their children, and be able to do things that they want to do without fear of, I can't because I don't get enough. So we just have to stay in this little bitty box because this is all we could do, because this is all we get.
yeah,
And I know I don't need to preach to you. You didn't become who you are because you don't understand. And I appreciate you coming here and wanting to hear the stories and being personable enough to want to know the real truth and keep searching for truth so that you could take those back to the
Yeah.
peoples that be, and not just have one round table. Keep doing this because there's more people in here than just me.
yeah. First of all, the fact that all of you took time out of your day to come here to share your stories with me gives me so much strength to go back to Washington to fight for you. And, I say when I'm back in DC, I have 3 things that I think about. Does it improve the lives of people who live in Congressional District 3? Number 1. Does it move our country forward? Is number 2. And number 3 is, can I support it with my personal values? And the fact that people are working 40 hours a week or wanting to work more but not being able to, and getting wage that you cannot sustain a family on. We need to do something better as a country. And that's what this bill is about. It's really about how are we moving the wages up so people can live and have a dignified life and support a family and have a family life, when, you know, as you were saying, when you're working 2 and 3 jobs, you can't spend time with your family. And, you know, being a congresswoman and being back in Washington, the time I value the most is the time I can spend with my son and my daughter. And when I get back here, I mean, we schedule time where I am with my family because that's incredibly important. So, you know, and I understand when you're raising the minimum wage, you're gonna see a shift in the workforce. And that's where we get into workforce development and how we're investing in education and how we're handling student debt. Because so many people are going to school trying to get the skills for new jobs, and then they get swallowed up in student debt. And so when you look at the priorities I have as a congresswoman, first and foremost, it's how are people able to make ends meet and earn a wage that they can sustain a lifestyle in dignity. And then how are we training people for the workforce of the future? Because the workforce is gonna change, we know that. And, you know, instead of being reactive, let's be proactive, and so,
Well, we have probably about 5 to 7 more minutes in here, and then what I wanna do is, I want to have you all, you know, have an opportunity just to, you know, have like 10 to 15 seconds, you know, just to shake her hand, maybe take a picture with her if you want to do that. And then she's gotta leave here and get to her next appointment afterwards. So, does anyone have, you know, any comments that you'd like to make in the next 5 to 7 minutes?
I just want to
Right
say
here,
something.
yes.
I'm sorry, my name is Irma Nunez. I work for ADAS, and I do echo everything they said. I agree. We are, we can only work 40 hours a week at companies. We're not allowed to do any overtime, and that's below wage. So my next option I'm talking about will be like to get another second job. And we all have families. I have a 17-year-old, so I gotta be like,
watching out.
there you go. Yeah, and
Paw Patrol. I know.
and it's so hard, you know, to live with a below minimum wage.
Right.
Okay, because the car not only uses gas, it uses a lot.
Right.
I have quite a few patients throughout my career tell me, Irma, then why do you do it? I'm like, who's gonna take care of you?
Right,
Somebody has to take care of you.
right, yeah.
So that's me, so I gotta sacrifice myself to take care of you.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I
and
know.
I thank you for coming and, you know,
Right.
hearing
I
out.
mean, listen, the work that you do as a healthcare provider, you're providing for people's families.
Yes.
And, we need to value that with the wage that you can value your family as well.
Yes, thank you.
So,
What can we do to help you move forward?
listen, I mean, what we're doing right now or, you know, as. the
We all
gentleman
agree with
said,
that.
organizing and making sure that we're, you know, there will be, I'm sure, rallies, there will be things that we're gonna need when it comes time to vote on this bill. I'm gonna need you to be supporting me you know, because there are people that don't wanna see this because it's gonna cut into corporate profits. And so, making sure that when we're reaching out to you saying we need support, that you're providing it as well, making sure you're calling, you know, you're calling us to extend your support, getting people in your, you know, people you work with, making sure that they're on board. And, because the more, what we've learned is, voices are heard and the more you organize, where my friends from SCIU, they understand, right? The more you organize, the more our voices are heard, so.
We're trying to get in the union.
Yes. Yeah.
Maria?
Pues yo también vengo aquí a estar presente con ustedes para agradecerle la invitación que nos hizo. Y pues igual va sobre el salario mínimo que gana uno 8.25 y no alcanza.
So, I also want to thank you for having this conversation, and I want to speak with you about the minimum wage and that you just can't make it with 8.25.
Las rentas va para arriba, la comida y pues para ganar 8.25 la hora. no nos sobra del cheque.
Yeah.
$8.25 is not enough for
No.
rent, food, gas, it doesn't cut it.
What do you do?
¿En qué trabaja usted?
Yo fui housekeeping,
Mhm.
primer año y medio trabajé en una lavandería y al siguiente año y medio entré a un de housekeeping, duré ahí 6 años y pues ahorita trabajo porque soy sobreviviente de la víctima del crimen y tengo lastimado este brazo, entonces ahorita pues la verdad estoy sin trabajo.
En las convenciones están. En las convenciones.
En las convenciones a veces trabaja uno o 2 semanas, pero son eventuales.
So as a, did you get everything?
Not
Okay.
some of it.
As a survivor, as someone who's working during the shooting, on October 1st, I was trampled and have a permanent injury. So I've not been working since then. I work occasionally in the conventions, but you don't know when they're gonna call you, when there's gonna be a day, it's a day by day sort of thing.
Right.
Pues me da mucho gusto estar aquí en esta reunión con ustedes y espero que nos escuchen todos los compañeros que hemos estado pidiendo pues el aumento y espero más adelantito seguir trabajando.
And I want to thank you and everyone, being able to hear everyone, and that, we keep working for this.
All right, guys, thank you very much for coming. What I think we should do now is, Congresswoman, if you want to go out in the